is the type of tail on the board. Tail shapes, some people will say that, tail shapes don't do anything, they're all just looks. And everybody has their, like every shaper or designer, they all have, we all have our kind of philosophies and our ideas and our theories. Personally, for me, I think that tail shape is more than just looks. I think it's something that is functional, but it's got to be taken in. It's got to be taken in tow, kind of, and not overemphasized. Because if you think about it, you got a lot going on with your board, with the water, the way the water is engaging your board through the entry, through the bottom, through your tail, and the very last thing that the water does as it's leaving your board is it bends around the tail shape and then jumps off. And so that last little bit of the tail shape it's doing something. It's just not doing the majority of what the rest of the board is doing. It's doing that last little bit as you're like coming into a turn and as you're boom coming out of a turn. And so the way to understand the tail shapes is that water, which is like it's actually a sticky substance, it's coming in your board and it's like it's grabbing your board, and the shape of the board is dictating how the water's either going to hang onto the board or how it's going to force the water off the board, and that's what's going to give different boards a different feel. And so as this water's coming around the board, it's hitting the edges back here, releasing off, it's going through the concaves, creating lift. It's, soft rails here as it's going through a turn, that water's holding, and as it's being compressed and pushed back here off the rail through the tail, it's coming in here, and for instance, this tail shape, squash tail, this is more of a rounded squash tail. This is a board for Australia, made specifically for the Superbank, and it has, it's designed to have a nice pivot and snap of a squash tail, but still also a nice clean kind of carving effects that a round pin or a thumbtail has. So it's a real rounded squash, and so that's the concept with that. But squash tail is a really common tail shape. I think it's the most versatile tail shape for performance shortboard. And what you got happening with squash tail is you got that water hanging on, and it's coming around the edges of the squash tail, hanging on, can't hang on anymore, releases off there. So you get a board that draws a real clean line, but still this flat area here, when the water's jumping off there, it's going to pivot a little bit. And you're going to feel that just a little bit, boom, pivot, and then you can feel it in the lip, boom, release. And so that kind of gives you a concept, starting with a squash tail, which is the most, probably widely used tail shape.